Morning, welcome, Vanessa. We've come today to have a chat about your vision boards for all. I've just been showing you my vision board in my house. I'm a massive fan of vision boards. I've been using them for a few years now. So I wondered if you'd like to introduce how did you get to start to do this, and what do you do, and how do you help others with it?
Thank you, and thank you very much for having me. Yes, how I found vision boards. So I kind of um, found them by accident, really. Someone invited me to a vision board workshop, and I like obviously cutting and sticking. I thought that would be an interesting
Mhm.
afternoon, um, and went along. Stuck on. It was a lovely session. We did obviously a meditation at the end, and it just was a lovely way to kind of really connect with yourself. And I kind of came away with my board thinking, I actually don't know what it actually means though, because obviously I'd created this beautiful board, but we didn't really go into any of the science behind it and the reasons why. It's just obviously if you put it on your board, you can manifest it and you can make it come in. And I thought, surely got to be more to this than that. It was a lovely space, and obviously it started me on my journey. So I started to look into it a little bit more, and I took the things that I learned and how I implemented my board and kind of made my version. And that's why I call it Vision Boards for All. And first of all, I kind of shared it just as a passion project online when everyone was in lockdown, just to give people a little bit of hope and positivity. And from that, Weight Watchers was a bit online at the time, and they asked me to come and do a talk. And obviously, I never thought I'd do anything like online. That wasn't my world. I was a beauty therapist. And I just thought, well, why not? This is obviously meant to be. And I wanted to share how it helped me kind of reconnect with myself. And all of a sudden, my first ever speaking gig, so to speak, had 208 people on, which was very
Wow.
scary, very scary. But at the same time, was really well received. And I thought, there's something in this. There's more people. We're always busy doing life and sometimes not living life. And we put our own obstacles in the way. And having taken that time out and creating that space to really connect with what we want and also how we want to feel, because naturally our beliefs are responsible for our thoughts. So if that's the case, whatever we believe, you will believe something different to me due to passed down probably beliefs that people have put on you and the life you have experienced. And this is why I think when we talk about we are all so unique, and we can all read the same story and we'll all take something different from it. We can all cook the same recipe. We've all seen maybe Great British Bake Off, and all their recipes, when they do the challenge, all look different because they bring their own essence and own experience to it. So it's a lovely way to connect with yourself. And we don't often give ourselves that time to reflect, or we reflect and we don't change. What your vision board does is it gives you that daily visual reminder of where you want to go, because you know without a clear vision, it's like going on a road trip without a destination. So when we get clear on what we want, this naturally creates our vision, and then that gives us our purpose. And then as because we've got that vision and purpose, this will control and make our decisions, which ultimately creates our lifestyle.
Mm.
So I think it's far bigger than people really underestimate. I think they just think, oh, it's a bit of sticking pictures on, and I'll go away and it'll just happen. And
Mm.
you know, it's a bit more than that.
Mm. And there's a lot of science behind it as well. So
Yeah.
I run a daily online manifesting meditation. So um and I know myself through um doing that every day to visualize what it is that you want to achieve, it's only can but achieve. It's like, because your RAS in your brain, reticular activating system, is programmed in to actually pick out the things that are relevant to what you've already said that you want. So yeah,
Yeah.
it is
You're
incredible.
tuning into it, aren't you?
We are
We often
already, yeah.
that's exactly it. We were often concentrating on what we don't want, so that's what we see.
Mm,
So it's where energy goes, you know, attention flows. So when you're visualizing in your meditations, that's exactly it. We're bringing it in to our psyche, and we're seeing the possibilities and opportunities for sure.
mm,
And they say when we start to visualize our best life, this is that mental rehearsal, because obviously our bodies are wired up to keep us safe. And, when we can't see the how, or it looks too big, or it's too scary, this means that mental rehearsal, we're kind of getting familiar with the unfamiliar. So when we start to see those possibilities, and then we don't become so fearful of them as well. So,
yeah, but it is also about kind of helping people with their limiting beliefs as well, isn't it? To try and um to step beyond, because often I mean, I've said it myself many times that, oh no, I couldn't possibly do that. Oh no, I couldn't do that. Oh, it's a bit, weird to, I couldn't, I recently become a meditation teacher on an app called Insight Timer. And for a long time, I was thinking, well, I'm not that good to be on the app. And then everybody was saying, well, there's a lot of people on the app. Why are you saying that you're not good enough to? It's interesting, isn't it? And you just,
yeah.
sometimes you need another person to sort of validate yourself in that way and say, hang on a second, you've been doing this for ages, so why wouldn't you be? Um,
Yeah. And I love Insight Timer. It's brilliant. And as you say, there's there's enough for everyone. And we're all, as we are so unique, we find people we like, because it
exactly.
and you are that person that someone might think, oh, I really love your style, I like your voice, and I like what you're saying, where and someone else might grate on you a little bit, think, oh, that's not really
Exactly,
for
yeah.
me. So
The
yeah.
the guy that does the one that everybody loves, I can't remember what it's called. Um, but
Is
his
it
voice really doesn't work for me at all.
is it
Um,
David G? My name
it
is David G.
No, no, I love David G. I love his voice. Oh, his voice. I've actually been to see him live. He's
Oh,
great.
have you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I love him. It's the guy. I think it's on the Calm app or something like that. I don't know.
Yes, I think you're right. And someone else has said they don't like his voice.
Yeah, and I don't
Yeah.
know why, and there's no logic to why I don't
No.
like his voice, but there's some words that just sort of grate a little bit with me, and just in the way he pronounces things, and so it's like the man who wrote the book, the uh chimp paradox.
Oh, yes, yes. Oh, what's his name? I know that I can visualize the book cover.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
or the
Yes.
monkey mind. I
He's
can't remember.
he's
Yeah,
quite brash, isn't he? And his voice
but the
is
way
quite.
he says it, and it's the is it chimp or is it monkey? I can't remember what it is that he said,
Yes. Oh,
but it just that word, and says it so many times throughout because that's what it's all about. But I just can't cope with the way he says it, and
God.
I just like, oh God, I can't. It's
It's not
ridiculous.
for you. It's not for you. There'll be another book for sure.
So
Obviously, I
tell
must.
me about your vision boards. How do people access you? Do you do it online, or is it all in person, or what?
Well, I do a bit of both. So I've just actually run two at the weekend. So I did on Saturday, I did an online one. And on Sunday, I did an in-person one. And I live in West Sussex. So I tend to do them around the area. But because obviously I um, have an online presence as well, a lot of people say, oh, I wish I could come to your in-person ones, but they all both can bring different essence to it.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, it's lovely to sit there and have the magazines there for you to just cut and paste and be in a room. Um, I think people underestimate the power of actually doing it with someone rather than doing it on their own at home. Because I think how I facilitate it is that I talk a little bit about what is a vision board, because not everyone knows. And obviously, basically, it's a collection of words, quotes, and pictures that resonate with you. And obviously, they can be done holistically, they can be done goal specific, but it's about kind of really allowing your to connect with your, whatever you want to call it, your soul, your inner guidance, your gut. Because we often listen to our head, and our head is what stops us, and we say we can't do that. And so many people say to me on both workshops, I thought I was coming for one thing, and it might be their business, or it might be something else, and then they create something completely different. Because when that space is being held, people underestimate the power of that. I think sometimes, probably you feel like that with meditation. It's sometimes not always what we think we need that comes out. We allow ourselves to sit there, and our subconscious comes out, and it just I need to know that actually at this moment in time, although I might want that, for example, experience, big house or holiday, at the moment I actually need this. And that could be I need to heal myself. For example, I had a lady who came last year, and she came back this year, and she was coming. She'd been looking after her mum with Alzheimer's for quite a few years, and obviously had just lost her 6 months previous. And she came, thought, right, and now I can concentrate on getting my business back where I was. And then she created a completely different board, and it was all about healing and nurturing and showing up for herself, and having those experiences, just to be able to walk with joy and sadness, and have that time. And then she's come back this year, and now she's been able to do her business as well as remembering to keep showing up for herself, because we aren't just one of our roles.
No,
we are that we are many roles,
mm.
and we take those roles on. And as women, I think we naturally are nurturers. So but we aren't just our roles. We aren't just mum, daughter, wife, sister, aunt, work colleague, business owner. And so it's being able to show up for all the areas. And I use the wheel of life for people who are struggling to, because if you think of a wheel on a bike, if we're really out of sorts with one of those areas, life can be a bit bumpy. So I think it's a great way. We have a few reflection tools that we use, and that can help people then to put their pictures on their vision board. You just need a bit of kind of, when you're doing it online, to have all the materials with you. So I do sell vision board kits as well, in case people want them, or you only really actually need about 5 magazines. I think people think they've got to have these loads of magazines, but really it's amazing how many free magazines are in Tesco's and places like that, food stores, that we naturally pick up, that are hanging around the house. And I have actually created a vision board with just free magazines before, to prove that you can still find images and words and quotes that actually resonate with you, because pictures have been designed to evoke emotion, because they want us to buy. So naturally these magazines are going to have pictures that resonate with us. And I think it's remembering that 90% of information transmitted to the brain is visual. And when we look at it like that, why wouldn't we have a vision board in our life?
Yeah.
We've all done, and also we've all done a form of vision board without realizing before. We've all taken that screenshot of, a beautiful destination, or a screenshot of a recipe, or torn it out of a magazine, because we're setting that intention to create that recipe, or go to that experience, or paint our room that particular color, if we've used Pinterest. So what your vision board does is it becomes your daily visual reminder of what you want to attract, so you can start making that inspired, positive actions towards. So it reminds us, that feeling we want to have. And what we want to create, so we're more likely to show up for it. And then at the end of my vision board workshops, what we do is we share our boards, because when we put it out there, we're putting it out in the open and we're saying, yes, I want this. And when we do that as a collective, it's so powerful because we all want everyone to do well.
Mm.
You know, we fall into that comparison is the theft of joy. But ultimately, it's our own self-belief, like you with the insight timer,
Mm.
in the sense you didn't believe you were good enough
No.
to, you know, where someone else comes along and says, you so could do that. And that gives us, you know, sometimes the that little push to believe that actually I can do it because I'm the author of my life. I get to choose. This is project me. I've shown up for this, and now I can make that difference.
Mm.
Um, it's a way of connecting, and with what you do, you know, that is another form of connecting and and creating that space, because we're so busy doing all the time. Often we don't get opportunities to problem solve. Um, and that space, be it meditation, journaling, vision boards, yoga, is that space of pouring into our cup and giving back. And when we can do that, we can actually give more. People really, you know, they always say, oh, if you say you're too busy to meditate, you need to do it longer, you know.
Yeah.
So I think it's just, we also forget that 95% of what we do is repeated, where a lot of our life is on autopilot. So if we want to do something different, we need to disrupt that pattern.
Yeah.
So our vision board is that reminder to disrupt that pattern and do it differently and reprogram those neuro pathways with, we have to show up when we don't know the how. Um, because we are so busy always concentrating on what we don't want rather than what we do. So when we are starting showing up that actually, I want this, how can I get it? Starting to plan, you know, and it's coming from that place of gratitude, because the past has happened. We can't change that. We can only change our view on that, and how we let it dictate our, you know, future. Our future hasn't happened, it's only the present. So I think it's a great opportunity to remind us of our why we get up in the morning, our purpose, and to give back to ourselves, whatever that may be.
So tell me a little bit about you. What got you to the stage of doing this? What's your background? Where did you start in life? What did you first do for a living?
So I think this is how I came about it, because when I had my family, they were little, obviously, well, and I was working, you know, in an office, and I was in the evening, I would run my own little business doing beauty. And I thought I really didn't want to go back to that office, that tied office
Mm.
timetable. And I thought, well, I can't do both, you know, and I needed to make that decision. So I took on to do my beauty, but I did it wrong in the sense of, I felt because I came from that scarcity mindset, in the sense I need money. You know, when anyone wanted an appointment, I would do it, and I would forfeit my own health. And then I would be feeling guilty that I had gone to work and I was juggling all the balls like lots of mums do. So I'd be with them in the day and then work till 10 o'clock at night. And for so many years,
Exhausted, probably.
yeah, completely got burnt out and didn't listen to that whisper. Just think, I got to keep doing, driving, pushing, and never giving back to myself. And whenever I thought I would love to do something for myself and book that aerobics class or something like that, if suddenly someone would want an appointment, I would cancel, I would cross it out.
Mm.
And then as my kids got older, I experienced like ME. So then I'd felt like I was not good enough. I'd failed, you know, that fact that I was pushing and having to pretend to be some, you know, completely well when really I was not, you know, I was literally going to work, coming in and resting, and then, you know, giving to the kids again. And it wasn't until they got that little bit older and I realized that actually my role as I was working part-time and really creeped into really like being quite full-time. And I felt like I was a prisoner in my own home. I didn't see the outside world because I didn't need to pick my kids up anymore. And then I lost my mum and felt like, I had to keep showing up for my kids. It couldn't be, you know, they were grieving my mum and I didn't, I they would see me a little bit upset, but I wanted their life not to be impacted with my grief. That eventually, I think I thought enough is enough. I've got to make a difference. And my vision board was that first point of connecting with me. Who was Vanessa within the roles I took on? And I didn't know who she was. And that was really sad because I had a lovely life, but I hadn't shown up for myself. So my vision board was that opportunity to start showing myself self-love, kindness, learn about, how to juggle all the roles, but you be in the mix as well. And the more I came from that place of gratitude and learnt to walk with joy and sadness at the same time, the more opportunities and more abundance came my way. And now, obviously, I've created a life I love on my terms of how I want it to look. I now only do about a day, roughly about 2 days in my beauty business, and I do this, and I go into work with young people at charity, which I love, as well as doing one-to-one work, as well as going into businesses and stuff, and helping people to connect with their life. So they, naturally life has twists and turns. We're all going to experience loss and grief and challenging experiences. And it's being able to navigate how we can still love our life. So I think I, use vision boards in that way, is to connect with, it's not all about big houses and, um, big holidays. It's discovering those little things, those micro moments, those 10 minutes pockets of time. And then life just becomes that little bit more simpler and nicer, and knowing that I am enough as I am, imperfect, and life is messy, and that's okay. It's how I show up for it.
Lovely. So it's been quite a journey for you to go through all of that experience.
Yes, it has. And I think everyone goes through a journey.
Mm.
I don't think it's everyone has a story to tell, and it's how we process it, um, and how we decide to connect. Um, and I think if you're willing to stay curious, look at different things, what works for you, and finding your version of success. Because I think we often feel that we're not successful if we haven't got X amount in the bank, or if we've,
Yeah.
it's a lot. We tie a lot of success down to money, and it
Mm.
isn't. Of course we all need money to live, of course, um, but nature has a great way of teaching us, and tuning into that little bit more, and showing up for ourselves, and not fearing, having that self-belief, and not worrying what others think and feel. Often that stops us from, you know other people's whys rather than our why. Why do we want it? Do we want more joy? We have to schedule it. If we want more fun, what does that look like to you? It's finding your version.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. So when I talk to people on this, my talking about your why, my why was because my father became very unwell, and I was really unable to, I didn't want to connect with the grief, because who does, frankly?
Yeah.
And so as a result of my father dying of cancer, I developed ulcerative colitis and became very unwell. And so I asked people on this chat because my reason of wanting to help people is to try and allow people to connect with how they are feeling, what they're at, where they're at any moment in time, so that I can maybe help other people to prevent them from becoming unwell. Who knows? And so I ask same question to everybody, which is a question we get asked all the time, but we often answer in a very standard way to everybody whoever asks. But this, I ask you to be authentic with today, to share what you feel you're able to share. But I just ask the question, how are you? How are you feeling today?
How am I feeling today? Well, actually, that's a really lovely question, because how many times do we always say, "Oh, I'm fine"? You know,
Mm.
you're in the doctors and people go, "Oh, how are you today?" "I'm fine." "I'm in the doctors. I'm obviously not fine." So and so now I've become very aware of that. And I know when sometimes people are genuine and actually interested and want to know, and when people just automatically say and actually don't want to know, and you can see them glaze over. So I have different answers for those different people, because at the end of the day, they're just being polite. They don't really want to know. But for me today, because I have held two vision board workshops this weekend, which are beautiful, and I think people really underestimate the power, though, and the energy that takes out of you, when you're giving so much of yourself and giving and helping people to come up with their plan. And there's often tears, and just sitting there holding that space for them, and also the emotion that you want them to be able to connect. So the leading up to it, you are in your fight or flight mode, in a sense. In that fight mode, you're living on your adrenaline. So today it's very much about being in my own energy, pouring back into my cup and being kind to myself, because I felt if I would have started today purely on a go, 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 doing, which in the past I would have done, and not allow myself that space to just be and show myself that kindness. It's okay. And I use the 4 Ds, do, delete, defer, delegate. And before, I would have felt guilty to think, gosh, if I'm not, you know, achieving and pushing through to get all those jobs done, I would have failed. Now I'm much more kinder, and today I'm allowing it just to unfold. And it's just lovely to come and do this. And I met my sister this morning. We were going to do a little bit of work, but I just said no, let's just have a chat. And yeah, so I just being kind to myself, really, so I don't get burnt out and then feel the overwhelm and all the other things that then come up with not pouring back into your cup.
So, and you are feeling in this moment?
Happy, contented, and calm.
Good. Great. So, is there anything that you would like to share today? Something else that comes to mind that you would like people to know about?
I just think it's would be lovely for people just to believe in themselves a little bit more. Um, I think sometimes purpose is like kind of a big thing. People think, gosh, I might not like my job so much, or I'm poorly. I know with my when I had ME, you felt that you weren't good enough. To know that you're always enough. Um, and I think that's so important, that actually knowing that you're enough where you are is just really important. Um, and we are good enough,
Brilliant.
and you are a success because you know you're here today and you're a success.
Fabulous. Thank you for sharing that. That's wonderful. Can you tell me, is there an easy way for people to contact you?
Um, you can obviously find me obviously on my website, which is visionboardsforall.co.uk, or I'm on Instagram under Vision Boards for All, Facebook Vision Boards for All. So I'm quite generic in
Okay.
that sense. All the way through, I have my logo as my image. I know they sometimes say have your photo, but I think VB, my name is actually Vanessa Buck. It stands for Vision Boards as well. It's obviously always meant to
Meant
be.
to be, yeah.
So it's my initials as well as what I do. So yes, that it'd be lovely if I resonate with anyone to come and join my world. I have a little group, you know, it's called Make It Happen, Let's Dream Big, where it's just a place if people feel that they're ready to share their goals. And I think it's about remembering to celebrate those little wins. It's if you
Mm.
have been poorly that week, to celebrate that you did show up for yourself, for even just making those healthy dinners, or that you went out for that walk. It's celebrate, 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 celebrate those little wins. And I think people underestimate the power of that and that mindset as well.
Lovely. So that is a Facebook group, is it, that people can join?
Yes, yes, make it happen. Let's dream big. A community, because I think there's a few that have called Make It Happen. It's very hard to find a unique name.
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe on Facebook there'd be so many other Vanessa Bucks, kind of thing. So
Okay.
it's so just think, it's my married name. How did that happen? And then obviously I have got my planner. So anyone who it's called One Step at a Time, and it's an opportunity to aid and build like and maintaining that vision for your life, but also a mixture of like kind of journaling and like goal strategies, a monthly reflection and habit tracker to just give you that opportunity to really show up and check in. So you can use there's different tools in there. And it's just a little bit different from just a diary. I've got that mixture of both to be able to, and I've got some beautiful quotes and stuff as
Sounds like
well.
a perfect Christmas present for a few people.
Yes, yes. So, it's been well received. So I think just nice to be able to share and pass it out to people because you never know who it'll help.
Perfect. Thank you so much for coming along today. If there's
Thank you for
anything
having me.
else that you'd like to share, or are you happy with that today?
I think that is all I want to share. I mean, the only other thing I possibly could say is I have a methodology using the word dream. So I think sometimes that can help maybe people think because we often don't allow ourselves to dream because we believe we can't have it. So sometimes when you check in, and I use this analogy in the sense like D is for design. If you're not happy where you are, um, as I said at the beginning, you're the author of your life. You've got that opportunity to change it. So design and really tune into what you desire. Um, because when you get down to the bottom of it, it might be not that thing that we think we want actually comes out. We might think, oh, I really want a big house, but okay, how can I get a big house? Well, I'm going to have to work harder, and I'm going to have to maybe work in London, and I'm going to have to commute. Think, well, actually, I don't want that. So, is that why big enough? So, I think when we can get that little bit clearer, sometimes that D design really helps. Then R is because life is always changing and chapters and twists and turns, it's the opportunity to check in and realign and repurpose. Does this carry? Does this work for me now? Do I need to reconnect? Do I need to retweak? Um, and then I think E, when we use E in dreams, it's about experiences. We never fail. We always are learning. If it didn't work out, it doesn't matter. At least we know and we can go on and, using our energy and getting into the right energy tuning into what we do want rather than what we don't, we come from that higher vibration. So I think it's so important to really, embrace our experiences and know that we haven't failed. It's just we've learned what we don't want. And then A is about that action and really being in aligned and that inspired action. And it won't happen unless we choose to do something different. And I think M is all about that motivation and mindset. Motivation doesn't show up on its own. We have to have that right mindset. And then S is success. It's celebrating those small wins. And I think when we look at dreams like that, we can start to kind of maybe show up for our best version of ourselves.
Fabulous. That's great. That's a great way of being able to remember all of that as well. Brilliant.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for showing up today when it's been a busy weekend for you. And I hope you get a bit of rest for the rest of the day, chance
Yeah.
to unwind and relax.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Love.
coming along.
Thank you for having me. Take care. And keep doing such great work, sharing all these lovely videos of what people do is lovely to show all the different techniques and things that people can help.
Thank you.